Hi there. Often you find a draft online or from another weaver that doesn't tell you if it is written for a rising or sinking shed loom. Here's the way that I use to tell which way I should tie it up. If you're using a book or a website as the source of your draft, there's most likely an explanation of the conventions used. This information is generally found at the start of a book or on its own page on a website. So definitely take a look and see how the person who wrote the drafts or who included the drafts intended them to be used. Sometimes you get a draft from another source, a sketch of a draft from another weaver, an image online, something like that. Here's how you determine if the draft is marked for rising or sinking shed looms. Pick your draft and pay attention to the details. For this discussion, we will use the North American Convention for numbering shafts and treadles. In this example, we're going to be using draft 66504 from handweaving.net. Handweaving.net is a great source for drafts. The North American Convention, we will assume that the treadle that's closest to the drawdown, right there, is treadle 1. We will also assume that the shaft that is closest to the drawdown, shown here, is shaft 1. The first thing we need to do is choose a single warp and weft interaction to concentrate on. This could be any interaction, but generally I use the top left, which is shown here marked by the red lines, because it's easy to see. You can see that the top left interaction here is green. The warp is green and the weft is white in this case, so the warp must be on top for this interaction to show green. If the warp is on top, then the shaft that thread is attached to must be up. By looking at the threading diagram, you can see that this thread is attached to shaft 1. Now we look to see which treadle is being used for this interaction. Treadle 1 is being used. Now we need to look at the tie-up for treadle 1. It's shown here, circled in yellow. We can see that there are black squares placed on shafts 1 and 4. We know that we want shaft 1 to rise when treadle 1 is used, because the interaction shows that the warp is up. So if we're going to tie the black squares, if we have a rising shed loom. If our loom is a sinking shed loom, we will tie up the white squares. Now you know how to tell what type of tie-up you have. Happy weaving!